These are the solutions for the third practice quiz for quiz 3 in the third trimester. So number 1 is just a switch of the variable. So x is greater than -5. And note I put a vertical asymptote, so you just switch the variable. That means there will be a horizontal asymptote at y equals 3. So the x's and the y's switch, also the coordinates invert. So if 1, 2 is a coordinate on the original, then 2, 1 is a coordinate on the inverse. All right, so function evaluations, f of 3. So let's figure out f of 3. That would be 9 minus 6, okay, which is 3. So we're just going to do that again. F of 3, 9 minus 6, again, which is 3. G of f of x. So now we're going to put the entire f function in for x in the g. Okay, so x squared minus 2x, and then we keep everything else the same. That was easy enough. I see on my answer key, I did it wrong. I went the other way. I did f of g of x, so I have to correct that. So yes, f of x goes in here. G inverse of 1. So we need to do the inverse of the g function. That means switch x and y and solve for y. So x plus 1 equals y, and that is the inverse function. So g inverse of 1 is going to be 2. You just put 1 in for x there, and you will have it. So g of 0 on this. So g of 0 is 3. So that's going to be g of 3. And then f of 1, oops, g of 0 is -3. Sorry, I'm not paying attention. F of 1 is 2. So that's g of 2. So we have g of -3 plus g of 2. All right, so now down in the g function. So g of -3 is 8. And then 8 plus g of 2, 8 plus 5, and that is 13. Okay, next, function evaluations. So g of 4, so make sure you're on the right function. So g of 4 right there would be 0, easy enough. G of f of 2, so f of 2 is 2. So now we're going to do g of 2, and that's going to be 4. So this is all about finding y values when you do this. F of g of 2, so let's find g of 2 first. That would be 4. And then we want to do f of 4, which is all right, just drew a little brain freeze there. So g of 2 is 4. And then f of 4, I was not on the f function, so f of 4 is up here. That would be 4. F of g of 0. So g of 0 is 0. And then f of 0 is 0 again. And then even though it's not visible, what is a good prediction for f of -10? And that would be equal to 10. Okay. So f inverse of 7. So we need to find the inverse function. So we're going to interchange x and y. And so x plus 1 is 3y. So x plus 1 over 3 equals y. And that's the inverse function. And so 7 gives you 8/3. So f inverse of 7 is 8/3. A little bit awkward on the value there. And then g of 8/3. So what would that be? And you just replace it into the 8/3 squared plus 5, and that would be 109 over 9, which is 12.1 repeating. We'll check that out and make sure. Okay, good. Let's do the other one, 8/3 squared. Oops. Plus 5. Indeed, that is right. Okay, find G inverse. So again, you're switching the X and the Y and then solving for Y. So subtract 5 over. And so we need to square root both sides, or raise to the 1/2 power. Make sure you have the Y is greater than or equal to 0, that you switch that. Okay, so prove these are inverses of each other. So you need to put one into the other and show, so this would be f of g of x, and show that you get x, and indeed that is the case. Okay, and then the other way is to put the x squared under the square root. Okay, and of course we've got to keep the x positive on that. This was g of f of x. So pretty easy work to do there, but you just put one inside the other. So the whole square root goes in for x here, and then the x squared goes in for x underneath the square root. So it's a little bit awkward seeing what to do sometimes, but you just put one whole function in for x and the other function each way, and you have to get x both times for it to work. Okay, and those are the solutions for practice quiz 3 for the third quiz in the third trimester.